Welcome to today's lesson. Today is actually lesson 3 of a 3-lesson series with Tracy and Ollie. Ollie is a 2-year-old Shih Tzu that Tracy adopted 5 days ago, and he is now learning how to establish boundaries in his home with this wonderful dog. In today's lesson, you're going to learn about the walk, how to use equipment, and how important it is for the foundation of your relationship. Thanks for joining us. So we're going to get this little guy set up. I'm going to go ahead and start his walk. And then once I get him understanding what that expectation is, then I'm going to have you walking with him. So you can do this, and then I'm going to set you up for success on where do you apply this? What is this supposed to look like? So moving forward, you have a clear plan of action so you can lead him appropriately and build upon this relationship, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put the leash on him. So anytime, because obviously he's a little guy, so we have a small pinch collar. I'm going to take this off. So I would not use this line with this size collar because you don't want the bulkiness on that. Okay. So, my recommendation is a lightweight 6-foot line. So I'm going to have you you can just step back just a tiny bit. Right there's great. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start walking him and let him feel the end of it. No expectation at this point. There is no command of heel. This is not for me. It doesn't mean it's wrong. But for me, I don't want the brain, I want him just to follow like a service dog. Dogs walk in 3 mindsets. They either walk in hunt mode, out in front, mind is excited, ears are forward, reacting because that's him all day long. He's just, right? Or you have tracking mode, nose to the ground, sniffing. But then there's migration mode. Migration mode is follow. It is in his genetics to need to migrate daily. So one of the best activities you can do correctly is your walk. I'm the leader, you're the follower. It's a pack activity, which he needs to fulfill the animal part of the dog. It's a leadership activity because you're leading and he's following. And it's a mental activity. This not only drains his physical energy, but dogs wear out mentally faster than they wear out physically. So when his brain is engaged and he's following, his tail will come down, his ears will be back a little bit. That is a respectful mindset. I'm just following. So I'm just going to walk him. Now I'm going to be creating a little bit of, I'm going to set the line 6 feet from me as I'm walking. And then as he comes into my side, I'm going to share affection. And I'm going to be like, affection here. There might be correction or direction or pressure out there. Pressure's not wrong, but unclear pressure is. I'm going to be very clear. So that's all I'm going to be doing is out there is uncomfortable, if you hit the line, and here's comfortable, and I'm going to share affection. Man. Now I'm being very gentle because he has never felt tension on the end of a leash, very likely. So I know it doesn't look like much yet, but I just want to get him feeling it to see how he's going to respond. If you ever get tired of him, we have room. No, we don't. Not in the house. I love a little dog that just is all about it. I just think they're a lot of fun. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. He doesn't know he's little. I don't care that he went out of position, so really quick. You always have to look at what the purpose of the exercise is. So I want him to be at my side so I can share affection, but I'm not going to make sit or anything like that or any kind of structure because I don't want him to perceive any pressure or stress here. It's all down here. This is only affection. So in this situation, I'm going to move my body and just share affection here. So this is where it's happening. Oh, I almost fall on him. That would not be a good thing. The other day, I totally bit it in front of a bunch of people. So what we're getting is just respect on the end of the leash. I'm going to bring him right over here, and I have a loose line. As I'm walking, I'm going to gently tap him back on my left, and he's doing beautifully. It's almost like he's done this before, but who knows? So I do not let this line slide through my hand at this point. So my arm is calm and I have a firm grip. When he's at my side, my visual of correct positioning is the leash comes out of my hand and goes straight down to his collar. Okay. He only has to be in that position when I'm moving. Once I stop, he can do whatever he wants to do. This is not like place or when I competed, I'd give one command and the dog would come right in and know never to leave this spot. That's not what this is. Okay. This is follow me. Okay. And he can't follow if you're not moving. So when I stop, if he goes out like that, fine. I'm just going to decide how much line he gets. Okay. But I wanted to point out, when I was walking, he kind of was back a little bit and he started to sniff, but you're never going to correct your dog forward or even in. I only want you to disagree if he goes out in front. Okay. Because this is migration mode. Be beside me or behind me. And when I was walking, I didn't change the picture. My arm stayed relaxed, but I held this leash so it wouldn't slide through my hand. And he felt it and came forward, all on his own. Okay. He self-corrected. Yeah. I just kept walking. But just so you know, beside you or behind you, you are not micromanaging him. So I start walking, he starts following. Okay, I'm gonna actually have you do this. Okay. So we'll see how he does with you. So I'm gonna have you step in. Now, so you'll notice go ahead and stay right there if you don't mind. I'm super careful. Like when I'm holding that, I want to make sure that I'm not being clumsy and giving him an unclear correction. So it's just learn, and it's about feel. So when you're walking, just to be clear, the leash comes out of my hand, goes straight down to his collar with a slight J. No pressure on the neck. He's completely comfortable. You can see that he's completely fine, wagging his tail, looking at you a little bit, right? So when you grip this, when you go to correct, it's not in your wrist, it's just gently. Your arm is, so if this was a big dog and you had to give a stronger correction, it would be a pop release straight back like that, right? He's super responsive. Yes. Right there, he's pulling. And see how I just set that just gently? Uh-huh. The boundary is the end of the leash. Okay. He might be seeing boundaries for the first time in his life. Yes. A little bit, boundary right there. See how he stepped back to respect the end of the leash? Yes. Whereas in the harness, he just pulled. Right. See? It's all about stopping the brain. If you have a choice to do right turns or left turns, lefts are always best because it drives the dog back into position into this pocket. Oh. Whereas in right turns, they speed up to get around you and creates forging and promote forging. It doesn't mean out there in your walk you can never do a left or you can never do a right. It means right now we want to drive him back and show that position. When I tell you to pet him, I just want you to stand still and share affection. Don't make him sit or do any type of, not that, another time, another place, another lesson. Purpose of the exercise today is I don't want you out there, I want you here. And when you're at my side, I'm going to share affection and or the line is always loose. So I'm going to give you the line. So take this in your right hand, step beside your dog, please. And then I call this the heel position. And you're going to, so correct him off. Off. Excellent. Now, you actually have, so loosen your line. Your muscle memory is used to tension because you're used to manhandling him everywhere you go. That has to stop now. Okay. You cannot muscle memory manhandle him with a pinch collar or it will be unfair. That's why introductions to this type of equipment done by a professional is one of the kindest things you can do to your dog because you're setting you up for success to be the most fair to them. So go ahead and you don't say anything when you walk. I just want him to follow. Okay. It's like a service dog often. You know, a service dog, when we train a lot of service dogs, when we're in the mall or wherever, when we walk, they follow. When we stop, they stop. That is what this is. It's tap back. It's this one. Yes, tap back. You're not doing anything forward or anything outward. It's only back. So just start walking. Okay. Yep, little tap back. There you go. Now start your left. Little tap back on your left. Not out, straight back. Now relax your arm. Now relax your arm. There you go. So it's common that when people tap back a little bit, their arm stays there. Well, this isn't natural. We don't want to do that. That's your brain wanting to hold because you've always had to manhandle. Yes. Go ahead and do your left. know that when I brought out the pinch collar, you'd only learned what you read on you'd only knew about it what you saw on, Googled it, right? Equipment is only as good as its handler. And so as you were walking him, how'd that feel, by the way?
It was great.
Yeah,
it felt good that he appears to learn quick.
He is. He's very guidable.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? And that's a great observation.
Yeah.
Because even right away with the touch in the side to disagree with the jumping, he's not dumb.
Yeah.
But that also makes him his own worst enemy sometimes because he's like, you got to be ahead of the dog, right? But one thing that Tracy had asked me is, well, can I share affection or should I stop and pet him? And I said, no, not yet. And this is one of the reasons why. Is number one, I can clearly see he's happy to be with you because he has a relationship with you. And with me, he only knows me as the off lady. And so I want to, for my relationship, do what also is important. And so I squatted down to show that, but I could see that on yours, he was completely content to be at your side and he didn't need it yet. It doesn't mean you won't do it, and if you do it, it will be very likely only for today. You do not need to squat down and pet him beyond today because we're showing him and now we can leave that behind and we're good to go because he's got it.
Okay.
I wanted to show it and make it very black and white. Correction out there, affection here, and of course they're going to always choose affection, but they want to avoid the correction. So that's how you put the two together.
So if we're training, right, and I take him home and there's a dog, let's say he sees a dog and he starts to wander, how, like if he darts off like that, just pull back?
Well, first of all, if he immediately darts and you have a hold of that line, he's going to self-correct.
Okay.
But if he darts and stays at the end barking, you're going to give that leash correction. Now, this is the difference, and that's a great question. When you're walking him, your corrections are always only if he goes in front, you're going to correct back.
Yeah.
If he goes to the side or behind, you're going to let him self-correct, figure it out. Because even if he goes to the side and he feels the tension on the end of the line, his brain's going to go, oh, this feels better, so I want to be here. Because dogs do what benefit them. Okay? So you don't have to micromanage that, and don't micromanage that. If he doesn't want to walk here with you, it's because you have created, out of a lack of knowledge, unclear pressure here in this area. So that's why all of the touch or the correction or the leash correction comes out there.
Okay.
But if you're standing still or if you're walking and then he sees a dog and barks, and let's say he lunges, like you just said, what do I do if he lunges at a dog? If he self-corrects and he keeps on doing it, that is when you're going to correct back.
Okay.
But you're not correct. You have to look at the purpose of the exercise. You're not correcting the walk. You're correcting a disrespectful behavior. I don't allow aggression in my pack. That leash with the collar on the end is a tool where you can just pop that line and be like, no. Like he jumped on you. The next time he jumps on you, and he's sensitive, so just the slightest touch will do. But with your leash, you can give a little leash correction.
Okay.
If he jumps on you, and that will replace this.
Okay.
You have two tools here.
Okay.
Off leash, you can do this.
Yes.
On leash, you can just give a leash correction.
Yes.
In just any direction, because that's your no, that's your bite. When you're pottying him, I would do what you've always done. If you have a harness, put the harness on him, let him pull, because the purpose of pottying is being out there going potty. I don't want him pottying right here. I want him pottying out there.
Okay.
That's the purpose of that exercise.
Okay.
When you're at work and you leave your car to go into work, I'd walk him properly. Go into the building with leadership. Don't let him lead you, because I'll train somebody's dog for 30 days. The dog is amazing. And then they'll come for boarding and if they're watching this, it's just all learning. But they'll let the dog pull them from the car to my office. And I'm like, so where's your collar? And they'll say, oh, I was just going from here to here. So the dog learned from here to here, you're not a leader. You allowed the disrespect. So don't knowingly allow disrespect to come into pieces that you could have controlled it to establish leadership. I would never allow one of my boys one day to just tell me off and be like, I don't feel like dealing with it, so I'm just going to let it happen. I would never allow that. I'm going to demand respect in all things to set them up for success, and they are model amazing young men because they learn, right? Your dog is the same in that regard. I'm not going to choose at that moment not to be a leader because it's not convenient.
Okay.
Your dog will never be better than you. If you're inconsistent, your dog will be inconsistent. If you have a lack of knowledge, your dog is going to do dog things because they're driven by instinct. His internal computer is telling him how how to be,
Okay.
right? Well, it's your rules, but it's our responsibility to communicate them in a way that they're going to understand. Now, if he was to bark at anybody walking by or another dog just standing right here, you give that leash correction to disagree. I don't allow aggression in my pack. Okay? So go ahead and start if you want to. You're going to just start walking. You don't need to say anything. Just start walking. When to wear the pinch collar and when to not wear it. Anytime you're leading him that you need structure.
Okay.
Out potting would not be that, but let's just say you're going to go for a walk and it's structured. This is why he can't pee now on the walk.
Right.
He stops to go, you're going to keep walking, he goes to pee, he's going to self-correct. Does that make sense? And you're just going to keep walking.
Right.
But then give him the opportunity. Find a place, because you know he already likes to pee on trees. So find a place, and then you walk structured to where you're going, and now you're like, go potty.
Right.
And that's going to, you give him all the slack.
Okay.
And he stays on his training collar, and you're just following him. Go potty, and he's pulling you around the bushes. And then when that's all done, you go back to structure and you finish your walk. Okay. I've always used this collar from beginning to end with my dogs. I've always had powerful breeds, and now I have almost 100-pound lab. And it's just it's a safe, great training tool. So I just always have it whether I need it or not, because it's just easy to put on and take off. That will remain to be seen based on your life with him and how things turn out. But again, there's nothing wrong with using that tool for the rest of his life. Okay. Is it because it's not harsh? Look at him; it didn't change anything, right?
Yep.
It's the person behind it that makes it good or bad, and makes it a good experience for the dog or a bad experience for the dog. This was awesome. I'm glad that you came.
Thank you very much.
And I think that we might be working together in the future, because we want to talk about him coming when called and maybe some other things in the home.
Yes.
So this is fantastic. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Shannon.
It was great.
Appreciate it.
Well, listen, thank you for joining this lesson today. It was awesome to have Ollie and Tracy join us. And what a great lesson, full of so much information you can immediately start applying at home to make a difference for your dog. Because remember, your dog will never be the dog you want him to be until you are the leader that they need you to be. We'll see you next time. So for today's rough recap, today Ollie was learning how to walk on leash. What was vitally important about that is because even though Tracy had multiple things that he wanted to work on with Ollie, what the dog learns about their handler in the structure of the walk absolutely talks about the entire relationship and leadership that the handler is going to need to fix all issues. The walk is absolutely foundational, and today Ollie did fantastic. You want to make sure that when you're using different types of equipment, you are knowledgeable about the equipment, and as a handler, that you make sure that dog always has a good experience. And that's personal responsibility to the handler to ensure the success of what they're setting out to do in regards to the obedience. And if you're not sure, seek the advice from the professional. If you haven't seen part 1 and 2 of this lesson and this series, please check it out, because Tracy learned amazing things to set him and Ollie up for a lifelong of success and a solid relationship, so Ollie does not go back into the adoption system, that he gets to stay with Tracy forever and they have a great relationship. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Till the next lesson, we just thank you so much for listening. We hope you gained some value. And again, your dog will never be what you want him to be until you're the leader they need you to be. And we just thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time.